Hi everybody, my name is Paulette Morrissey. I'm going to get started this week on a new project that I've been kind of mulling around in my brain for a while, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of a backstory before I just jump right into the project. Um, some of you might know me from Tulip Square, where I own a quilt pattern business, and I make quilt patterns, and we make videos on tutorials and stuff, and we put them on YouTube every couple weeks. And some of you might know me from I do colored pencil, a lot of colored pencil, and I do weaving and bead weaving and a little bit of everything. But years ago, probably back in 2006, I started making miniatures and little polymer clay dolls, like 6 or 7 inch dolls. And I made and sold a lot of them. And one of the things I made to go with the dolls was a little street scene with several houses and a sidewalk and fences and all that kind of stuff, so that when I took the pictures of the little dolls, they looked like they were standing in a cute little town. And it was a lot of fun making those little buildings and the people too, the little dolls. And before that, I made a whole street scene taking up a whole, what used to be my living room, but I moved the furniture out and put in some tables. But I made a whole street scene for miniatures, and it had, buildings and houses and duplexes and shops and streets and parks and everything in it. And if you want to have a look at any of those, the doll related and the miniature things that I made before, you can look at them at 13sites.com, and I'll put a link for that in the description below. But little by little, those things all got trashed for one reason or another. When I moved out of Wisconsin, they obviously aren't going to survive in a semi made out of foam core, so they just kind of got tossed. So I always regretted that I never quite finished one of the towns. I started and I had the fronts all done and the insides of stuff, but I never completely finished the insides of the buildings and the houses and everything. So it's kind of been bugging me in the back of my brain for a long time. So I've decided I'm going to make a new little street, a little town. And I'm going to start with only like 3 buildings and see where it goes. And this is what I'm going to do as my project. And you can see I've got all stuff laying back here. These are pieces that I've already cut from the first houses I'm going to make. It's just made out of foam core, so you can cut it with an X-Acto knife. And I just draw up little diagrams on graph paper and cut and tweak as I go. And so that's what my project is going to be. And the name of this little town I'm going to build is called Ezra's Cove. And there's a link for ezrascove.com in the descriptions below. And I will put little weekly updates of the pictures and little descriptions of what I'm doing each week. And I'll post a new video every week. And the link for the video will also be on ezrascove.com. And so if you're interested in following along and watching, I will see you next week. Well, first I'll see you this week, but then I'll see you. Yeah, and I don't do videos well, okay? But we will have fun here. But I want to just see how far this is going to go. And this little town is going to have a whole backstory with it. And that will be told as the weeks go by also. And you'll understand why it's called Ezra's Cove and who is Ezra and all that kind of good stuff, okay? So anyway, it's just going to be a fun project. And if you want to follow along, it'd be great. So that's all for right now. I'm going to get busy on the first building, and I will show you how I cut them up and everything. Okay, so here's a quick little graph paper drawing. And I just make these up as I go, depending on what the heck I want it to be. So this is just going to be a simple little 2-story building. Downstairs will be a shop, and upstairs will be a little apartment. And it's just a 2-story one. So I'm just going to show you how I start cutting these out. My first piece is 24 inches by 19. I gotta check my sheet here. 24 by 19. So I'm going to have to go 24 this way because the boards are only 20 wide. So we're going to go 24 this way. And I've already got all kinds of ideas for the people that are going to be living in this town and what the houses and buildings are going to look like and what they're going to be in them. And I think it's going to be fun. And this time I'm going to take my time and hopefully finish all the buildings inside and out. And I save all the little pieces I cut off, big or small, because we're going to have to build all of the stuff in the inside of the buildings. You know, houses need built-in cabinets and appliances, and there's trim and shelves and porches and all kinds of good stuff. So I do have to save all that. It all comes in handy. And then this direction is 19. Okay, so we just cut off an inch here and an inch here. Since it's 24 long, I've got to use my bigger ruler. And on this ruler, I had some issues with it sliding all over the place when I was measuring it. So I glued some of that shelf, you know what that stuff is, shelf liner. I glued a couple of strips of that to the back, so now it doesn't move when I lay it up here and cut. And I'm just using an X-Acto knife, and I do find that it works better. I find it works better to cut one light strip and then a heavier one, and then that cuts it easier, although this time I seem to be cutting part of the metal ruler. Okay, so and I started with, I bought 20 sheets of foam board. Let's go 10 this time, okay? I bought 20 sheets of foam board, and after cutting out all the pieces for the first house, I already used 10 of them. So I ordered 20 more. That's going to go pretty fast. All right, now this time we're going to cut it, and hopefully, yeah, there's some notchy things on here that don't behave very well. But we'll cut this. I do one light one, and then the heavier one. It just seems to cut it better. So that's my 10-inch piece. This will set over here for other pieces. Then on the front of this house, I've got, or this building, I've got a door and a window to cut out. This is the piece I'm working on right now, this little rectangle right here, and I've got a door and a window to cut out. So 6 feet from this side is the door. I'm going to mark it 6, and the door is 4 feet wide, 4 inches, you know. And then there's a 2-inch gap and a 6-foot window. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 6, 10, 12, 18. I'm just going to do the same thing a little bit higher up. 6, 10, 12, 18. And 2 from the top and 2 from the bottom. I'm just going to draw these on here. And when you draw and you cut and everything, it doesn't matter if you leave marks of whatever and extra little nicks and stuff, because it's all going to be covered on the inside with wallpaper and things like that, and on the outside with siding or whatever the finish is on the outside of the buildings that I dream up. And then I can just cut from here to here. Here's the window. And it's time to change my blade when it starts getting caught on the foam core, and you can feel it kind of crunchy. It does dull the blades pretty quickly. And then there's a window down the bottom of the window. This is a shop, so it's got a big window in the front. So this is that first wall. And this door, this piece I might use for the door here, depending on what kind of a door I want. So I'm just going to save it, but I'm going to mark it. And one thing I forgot to do is on the house, I need to put a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a 6. I'm just marking them so when I cut them out, I know what the heck they are when I start to put them together. So like this is wall 1 and this is door 1. So we're going to do that, and then this is going to go over there with the door. Okay, so that's basically all I do now. I'm going to make the 3 shells of the houses, which are all going to go pretty quick. So I'll cut them all out, and I'll probably build them all in this week. and I will show you how I build one. I'll put one together, and that part is going to be pretty quick. And I'm only going to go 3 or 4 buildings initially, because then I've got to do all the inside work on them and all the outside work and everything like that. And that will all take a lot longer. And then they've got to be furnished, of course. And then they need a street to reside on, and then I'm going to need sidewalks and all that kind of stuff. So the construction of the initial houses goes fast, of the basic empty shells. That will go fast, and everything else will kind of go a little slower. And as I get a little bit further along, I'll start figuring out when I want to start working on the little people and things that live in this little weird community. Okay, so that is all I've got for you now, and I will see you probably next week, and I will show you how I build one of these little houses. All right, bye-bye.